Welcome back to room. This is door called ATTABOY. My name is Manny, and I am number 1. Welcome back to railway track invisible room. This is Chris. All together along steams on main line. Room train. Approaching Stanley. Stanley is a new tender this episode. Explore to more new engine. Have you always being herself a new friend? Yes, we're in the have cables, said Stanley. Extreme action of the railway. When Stanley get a train, please let us the train green approach and then you have on workshops. A both hand, finger, put on his camera, hand on a train and cool up. Duck and Stanley hands on your train. I know east of people who know an engine, however they who, asked Duck. Duck and Stanley coupling up with freight train. Duck and Stanley taken some trucks when Vulgar had arrived in no time. Yes, did for me, puffed Duck, and steamed away to the hallway. Duck and Stanley chugging around the floor took the shine about the room train along goods trains. This similar situation to puffing around, added Duck. Chugga chugga choo choo, who's your, puffed Stanley. Duck and Stanley chugging around the danger stairs. Stanley had it taken to a cars, he puffed. Looks like the president is here on connecting, said Duck. Who is this speak, said Stanley. Duck and Stanley around the corner having engines quickly about exactly how mainline now if your order. Misha put on your train, Duck and Stanley. I have to do some try even if you, puffed Duck. And derailed on the landing. Duck was worried about the engine stuck on corner. Help, cried Duck. Come in. I'm sorry, Duck, you're so ugly, mind? Asked Stanley. It's all right really indeed to pull go on? Asked Duck. Stanley pulled Duck had to go on pulled up along the train. Don't worry, Duck, I'll get to help for you, puffed Stanley. Stanley and Duck, rescue by the train, hallway into a second floor. Thank you, said Duck. Stanley's room with me. Duck and Stanley drives away to the room, but he kept along the doors. Everything Misha has another train about like it is welcome. Duck had arrived. Stanley, you can do it, the hero of Super Idol. Approached the last stop at the finish line. Duck and Stanley was wondering. Winner of the ready, that's the end of Stanley, laughed Duck. Camera week was in the line of the driver, laughed Stanley. Oliver and Vulgar we're in happy together along engine backwards. Duck was in enjoyed with already into nowhere. Stanley reverse into a cable or into or charger. Have you know, said Stanley, rest are quite the best thing ever I. Education and is a working class of students every year who it, said Duck. Maybe gas is a greater, said Vulgar. Perhaps we can get some be quiet, said Oliver. Busy have a really lost, said Duck. I am have to do Duck, said Stanley. Serves a purpose. Duck was in happy to see it again with cars have finished. Duck and Stanley arrived to start to finish, and he was right on his grace just a little while back in merrily. Approach Stanley as a freight train departure.